Hello and welcome to the third video of this series. So, now that we know our tools, our basic tools, and that our paper is ready, the time has come to practice. And this is the script, the alphabet you're going to learn today, as promised, the foundational hand. So it was created at the beginning of the 20th century, and it's based on medieval script. So this script is a very good one for beginners, and it's also excellent for legibility and clarity of your text. So, before you start, first make sure you're sitting in a comfortable chair, that your 2 feet are on the ground. Do not have a strange position while writing, otherwise it'll be noticeable in your work. So that both feet on the ground, one slightly forward to the other. That's up to you to choose which one. And I suggest also you lean a bit forward so that you can see closely and more precisely at what you're writing. Then how to hold your pen holder. So in fact, here it is. What you're doing, you're using your right hand, of course, because you see the shape of the nib. It is cut, well, it's squared, and the cutting goes a bit to the right. And if you're using your left hand, you'll be writing, you see, on the tip here of your nib, and you'll get disappointing results. So of course there are techniques for left-handers to write calligraphy even with such kinds of nibs, and although I'm a left-hander too in daily life, I learned how to write calligraphy with my right hand. So suggest you also you try at it if needed, and everything's still possible when you want it. So, holding the pen, you just join your 3 fingers like doing a kind of clamp, and it allows you 2 other fingers here to rest on the paper and allow you to do some free movements. So, clenching my pen, you see, it's like this, and I can rest my other fingers on the paper for free movements of writing. Then, before starting also, I promised a word about the slant angle of the alphabet. So that's a slant angle, you see. That's in fact the angle of all the letters of the alphabet. So here it's 0 degrees, and it's the basic slant used for most alphabets. You can have a 10 degrees slant angle used for the italic writing or the chancery. And finally, 54 degrees used for the copper plates writing. So in our case, it's 0 degrees. And what you can do once you have such slant sheet is you place them under your paper. You adjust it correctly. And now you can see through the paper. You have a perfect grid that will help you locate and situate your letters in the empty space of your paper, because okay, you have the reference lines, but you do not have the slant, and your writing may be either a bit like this or to the right. So the slant angle will help you keep your writing perfectly aligned normally. Then there's another angle to know, which is the pen angle, and I'm going to demonstrate what it is right now. So here, just for you to know, I have drawn new reference lines because I'm using a smaller nib. So for the second video, I used a 2.5 millimeters nib, and now I've reduced it to 2 millimeters. So I had to adapt the size of my reference lines consequently. So now the X height is no more 1 millimeter but 1 centimeter but 8 millimeters, and the ascender and descender lines are no more 7.5 millimeter but 6 millimeters. I have still left 0.5 millimeter here between between every reference line. So yeah, the pen angle. So taking some ink. For the foundational hand script, the pen angle, so the angle you're writing with, so that's 0 degrees. That's gonna be, let's say, 20, 30, 45, up to maybe 70 degrees. 90 is rare. But here we're using 30 degrees. So if you do a basic stroke, let's say from top of the X height to the bottom of it, I'm trying to start at 0 degrees, though it's not the most common one. That's a 0 degree pen angle, 0 degree stroke with 0 degree pen angle. If I take now 30 degree, which is what we're going to use, so I start, you see, at the reference line here, adjust to 30 degrees, more or less, and extend it downward. You see here, I have an angle in my stroke. It's no more 0, like here it's, yeah, let's say 20 to 30. If I take now 45, as in Gothic writings, that's almost 45. You see, it's getting thinner and thinner. And as I said in the previous videos, in every work you're doing, when you're given a pen angle for a given alphabet, here 30 degrees again, you have to keep this pen angle from the beginning to the very end, otherwise your work will lack harmony, and it won't look good, because you see, if I'm writing again the word hand, and I'll voluntarily change the pen angle. So let's say here I'm starting at 30 degrees. But here you see I'm losing my angle. I lift my pen and I'm going to somewhat 45 degrees. Then my A, taking probably less than 30 here. Here let's say I take 45, just doing it randomly. Back to 30. And finally here something in between for this one. Here and here, very exaggerated high angle of writing over 50 degrees. There, you see, this one was done at a constant 30 degrees pen angle, and this one we kept changing and changing the angle again and again, and you see the result. It looks terrible. So in our case, remember, foundational hand squid 30 degrees. Okay, so that's for the pen angle, and now we can start writing. So when you start with a given nib, you've chosen your nib. I know this one for the Banzong nibs, they are rather hard ones, so I know I can push hard on them, and you have to push on your nib. The calligrapher is always pushing on its nib. When writing, what can be said again? Yeah, you have to try your nib and with basic strokes. So basic strokes for almost all alphabets, but let's concentrate on this one, are the following. The first one, I'll take now 30 degrees and I try to keep it until the end. The basic strokes are the following: the downstroke, vertical one, the horizontal stroke, if I use the edge of my nib, I'll get something like this, you see? Might be useful sometimes. And finally, the the round lines on the left and on the right. So these are the common lines we're going to use. Okay, once you're accustomed with it, then we can start the alphabet, and I'll be writing all letters. Again, we're concentrating on the small letters, and we leave the capital letters aside for now, as they require some practice already. So just moving the camera a little bit. Okay, now that the focus is set, we'll start with the whole alphabet, and then I come back on several remarks when it's done. So the basic thing, of course, you'll be looking at the model when starting a new alphabet, and once you know the doctors, so the correct orders as to write your letter, of course it is easier. So here I'll tell you the different steps for all letters, but you'll see that practice helps a lot. It is always better to comply, well, to do a mix with the theoretic knowledge on books and model sheets, etc., and also someone doing it under your eyes. So let's start. And I'll try to do my best to explain what I'm doing. So always writing on the X side. We start with the letter A. I start at the top of the X side, keeping 30-degree pen angle. Doing somewhat like a stroke, then down, extending it downward and pushing, exit. I haven't do it again because the paper was not totally flat. I suggest you do this for the paper, so doing my A again, forget about this one. That's much better. Then for the B, I start at the top of the ascender line. 30 degrees, push, extend gently downwards, exit here at the X high. You do the apex this way, tiny thing at the top. Back here, still 30 degrees, do not change the angle, round shape, and join this one at the bottom. And here's your B. For the C, that's this shape, with another one, the beginning, this part here at the top. You see, as if I'm starting a whole half oval shape, but stopping midway. Carry on with D. This size, exactly the same shape, exactly the same shape. First stroke, second stroke, then go to the center line, still 30 degrees, push, extend, and exit. And don't forget the apex here. And here's your D. Moving on to C now. E. C is already done. Mistake. Still 30 degrees. I have to reload. Taking more ink. We'll do it again. Okay. Still holding the paper. Careful where you're placing your hands, because even if the ink is dry, remember it's non-waterproof. And your hands are always a bit humid. So I'll do again this one. Starting here, so 30 degrees, oval shape, and closing it. That's your E. Then F, starting at the ascender line, 30 degrees, push and extend. exit, draw the apex, a kind of round stroke, and the second one at the top line of the X height. Here's your F. Now comes a tricky one, letter G. So for G, you have to do a round shape using a combination of the two here. A round shape stopping a bit below the half of the X height, a bit below it, and then you have some drawings to do. So showing it, first starting as usual 30 degrees, first half, second half, then starting here, doing this shape, joining, and ending here. Here's your G. Now let's move to H. We're again starting at the center line, 30 degrees, push and extend downwards. Apex. Come back here, I'm still 30 degrees. And do your shape. Remember also follow the slant angle, so the vertical lines behind you see here, this part and this part of my letter are completely aligned with the slant angle. So my writing is straight, it's 0 degrees, that's perfect. Then letter I, an easy one, 30 degree, push, down, exit. At the exit you progressively release the pressure on the pen, apex, and the dot. Then let's move on to J, almost the same here, 30 degrees, push down to the descender line, exit, relieve pressure, join them, apex, dot. Let's carry on with K now. K, starting at the ascender line, 30 degrees, push, extend, follow the slant line. Apex, round shape, and extend it. And the L, start at the ascender line again, 30 degrees, push, extend, down, out and relieve pressure, apex, and that's down. For the M, start at the top of the X height, 30 degrees, push, extend, apex, and at the end of the apex approximately keep 30 degrees, turn the upper line and down, and the same, try to keep the same space, and out. The N is exactly the same, but with one step missing, starting the same way at the end of the apex. And here's my N. Turning to O now. So for the O, we said it's this shape plus this one, as in the G. But here it's on the full X height length. So starting here at the top, 30 degrees, the shape, and the second half. And you should get a nice O, and if you keep 30 degrees constant, it should look like this. Let's move on to P now. Still starting at the top, 30 degrees, push and extend downward down to the descender line. Trying to keep the slant angle constant. Here I'm deviating a bit to the right. Apex. At the end of the apex, round shape. And stop here. And close it. Here is almost the contrary without the apex. Starting like a O or T or even C. Here. And down to the descender line. And you get a nice Q. R is an easy one. I'm just wondering if my slant paper is correctly placed, which might explain why I'm not on the line. We'll check that at the end then. So R, starting at 30 degrees still, I'm always repeating it. 30 degrees, push and extend, apex, and look. This part you have to press, so going up, no pressure, down and press, and again up with no pressure. S requires probably some practice. You start this way, do not leave the pen, constantly pushing and going down. Then starting here, do not change the angle. Join, and the same above. And here's your S. For T, starting, you see in the middle of the ascender line, not at the top, in the middle, here, right here, 30 degrees, push, extend, up, and there you go. So moving back to the left now, let's finish with U. Starting just like E with 30 degrees. Again, extend and up. I think there's too much ink here, so don't hesitate to remove if there's too much ink on your nib. The apex. And the second part. And there's your U. V in 30 degrees, but you have to go down right. And here in the foundational hand you have this shape going up and down. And that's your V. W almost the same, but one more step. And here's our W. And the X, rather easy, starts like the V, sorry. 30 degrees. Down right, exit. And here you are. Nice letter. And the Y, starting here, start just like V, but not that pronounced. And go down to the center. I almost stopped before. And finally Z. Here you have to do a horizontal stroke. And for some people it requires some practice, but that will do, don't worry. So always keep 30 degree. Again, start at the top of the X height, go right, a bit up, down, and again right, and exit. All right. So if we have a whole look now, this is the lowercase foundational alphabet. And when you have finished an exercise or a work session, now it's time to be critical with your work. So here, first I have the feeling that my slant sheet moved a little bit. I'm not that sure, so you can always secure totally your paper with tape. Though I'm not a big fan of this method because I'm constantly moving the handbook so that it's more comfortable for me, because you have to, depending if you're writing here or here, of course you have to change and adapt your position as well as the book position, the position of the book. So if we first have a look at the slant angle, is the slant angle respected on the whole? Yes. If my paper is correctly adjusted. So let's see. Until here it's correct. The D here is going a bit to the right, not that much, not that shocking. Here is fine. The P is going to the right, as I said. It's fine on this side. Yeah, on the whole, the slant angle is respected. Looking at all letters, I see basically the 30-degree angle is respected, though I'm not that sure for the E. Let's do another try. Let's draw another E letter with 30 degree. Not satisfied with it. Okay. So don't like this one neither. This one is fine. Yeah, and basically for the rest, quite satisfied. So don't hesitate. You have to be critical with your work, critical to yourself, even if it seems only tiny details, because everything lies in tiny details in calligraphy. Because sometimes tiny details they accumulate, and you end up with things like this. Here these are tiny details like the pen angle, but if you accumulate them, you get something disgraceful to look at. Okay, so now that you have to practice all these letters, so yeah, some methodology. I almost forgot it. Here I've written the ABC in correct order, but I recommend you start writing with groups of letters, because in fact you have straight letters and round letters, and I suggest you start with the straight ones, such as the F here, the I and J, L, T, R is not that difficult too, the U, because U in fact is twice letter I without the dot, and you see it's I with a bit extended here and another I. You can also try the X and the Y, though it's a bit rounded here, and the Z too. So that will make you practice downstroke and horizontal strokes. And then you can turn to round letters, which are all the others. Because you see here in A, it's round here, even more in B. O is the worst one, probably. G requires some practice because there are round shapes everywhere. And most letters are in fact combination of all that kind of strokes. You see H is down and straight, and then rounded, and again straight. Okay. Then when you're comfortable with the letters themselves, you can try writing some words. So start with small words, and then you can turn to longer ones. I just write you an example, the word attention, because it has something interesting in it for practice. So I'm taking some more ink. So writing attention. So be careful with the space between your letters and then with your words. So I start with my A, always 30 degrees. And you see the trick here is that you have a double T letter. In such cases, just start drawing your letters like this and then end them in a single stroke. And then you complete your word. Okay. And again, let's be critical to ourselves. So here I'm not satisfied with the shape of my O, especially here. So this has to be improved. And here my N is too close to letter O. So careful next time with the space between letters. So for the rest, seems rather okay. The slant angle is respected as well as the pen angle. Now we can finish with a pangram, which is a nice exercise. As the pangram is a small, stupid sentence using all letters of the alphabet. So setting the camera. Here we go with the pangram. So the following sentence: pack my box with 5 dozen liquid jugs. Okay, so let's give it a try. Just checking my slant paper is correctly set. Adjusting my position. Stretching my paper. And here we go, 30 degrees, starting with P. Extend it downward, pushing in the apex. Draw round size. And close it. That's for pack. Already not really satisfied with this part, but that will do. are my now box. Box. I'm personally constantly adjusting my position as I'm progressing to the right. Now width. Let's move on to 5. Careful with fingers. Now 1000. Here it's no problem to link the E with the N. back way for the final word, chalk. So pack my box with 5,000 liquor chalks. And here you are with your pangram. Pack my box with 5,000 liquid jugs. It's not a perfect pangram as some letters are used several times, but you have all the letters from the alphabet that are used in this stupid sentence. And that's a very common exercise in calligraphy. Whatever alphabet or technique you're using, because this way you can be assured that you won't forget any letter. So that usually is done with big letters at the beginning and small letters all the rest of the time, which is perfectly normal, the normal usage. It's not forbidden to do it only with small letters, as we did here, or only with capital letters. It's really up to you, it's your choice, it's only your exercises, it's your practice, your personal things, so you decide what's best for you, what you want to practice, and also what you want to experiment. Nothing is forbidden. Just try to be as close as possible to the model for the type of writing you've chosen. So here we're staying as close as possible to the model for the foundational hand script. The key is to keep the style and the 30-degree pen angle. Sometimes you might see small variations for some letters, but it's almost always the case whatever alphabet you're using. So I hope these 3 introductory videos were useful. Don't hesitate if you have questions, and all you have to do is to practice the foundational hand script before moving on to more interesting and perhaps even more beautiful alphabets from all time. I mean all stages, all centuries, from Roman time to moderns. So hope this was helpful anyway. Good luck in your practice, and see you in probably some other videos. So I haven't chosen the type of writing for the next ones. Have fun!